A very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's an honor for Chanakya University to have with us Shri Sridhar Vembu, founder and CEO of Zoho Corporation, one of India's elite companies. We, on behalf of the leadership team, the faculty, staff, and students of Chanakya University, heartily welcome you, sir. We are so thankful to you for having been here. We are so happy to have with us Shri Ananthan, a technocrat turned social entrepreneur and an associate of Shri Vembu. A hearty welcome to you also, sir. I take this opportunity to welcome our Pro-Chancellor, Shri MP Kumar. Welcome you, sir. A hearty welcome to our Honorable Vice-Chancellor, Dr. Yashwant Dongre. A hearty welcome to Shri Nagaraj Reddy ji, our Chief Operating Officer. A welcome to Registrar, Dr. Sushant Joshi, Registrar Evaluation, Dr. Sandeep Nair, faculty, students, and all the staff of Chanakya University. Trust is earned in the smallest of moments. It's earned not through the heroic deeds or even highly visible actions, but through paying attention, listening, and gestures of genuine care and connection. And that's Shri Sridhar Vembu for all of us. Shri Sridhar is an Indian entrepreneur and CEO of Zoho Corporation, a multinational software company specializing in cloud-based applications for businesses. He is also a member of the National Security Advisory Board of India. Born in 1967 in Chennai, he earned a Bachelor of Technology (B.Tech) degree in Electrical Engineering from the IIT Madras and later pursued a PhD in Electrical Engineering at Princeton University in the United States of America. Initially, he worked as a wireless engineer at Qualcomm, and in 1996, he co-founded AdventNet Inc., which later became Zoho Corporation. The company initially focused on network management software, but later diversified its offerings to provide a suite of cloud-based applications for businesses. Under Vembu's leadership, Zoho expanded its product offerings to include CRM, email collaboration tools, project management software, and more. Notably, Zoho Creator, a low-code, no-code platform, has revolutionized how businesses and entrepreneurs create custom applications without coding. Shri Sridhar is renowned for his unconventional approach to business, and he champions a decentralized and bootstrapped business model, meaning Zoho has grown without significant external funding while maintaining a diverse portfolio of products. Zoho stands out as one of the rare unicorns in India that are profitable and remain entirely bootstrapped. Additionally, Vembu's vision towards sustainability and better livability has ensured in opening of offices in smaller towns or suburbs rather than metros, reversing rural-urban migration and creating jobs where talent resides. Under his leadership, Zoho Corporation has risen to prominence in the software industry, serving millions of users globally. The company is acclaimed for its commitment to user privacy, data security, and its wide range of affordable and user-friendly software applications. He is also recognized for his philanthropic efforts, particularly in supporting education and rural development initiatives in India. Notably, Zoho Schools is a unique model that provides IT training to students, offering a stipend during training and a job upon successful completion. And for all his contributions, he was awarded the Padma Shri in 2021. It's indeed an honor to have such a wonderful person amidst us, and I hope and pray that the students and all of us take all his experiences and learn some lessons for life from him. Sir, I request you to please have your interaction with us. Thank you.
This is a very unusual university I'm visiting. It's an unusual experiment. You're a startup university, and you're all the very first batch of students, so I'm very happy to. You are at the very earliest sort of foundational stage of what should become in 100 years, 200 years, 500 years, preeminent universities in the world. That's what my hope is, right? feel proud that you are in the very founding stage here. This university also, of course, the ideals, I'm talking about rooted in ideals. And what are those ideals? I want to talk about those. And in any of these, whether it's university, company, Zoho Corp, anything only sustains if it's animated by a very profound conviction inside. What are we for? What do we stand for? Why are we here? It's not simply, I'll get a degree, get a job, all that. That's not a university's vision. Same thing, the company is not, let's ship products and make some money. Of course, all that is necessary, right? If we don't ship product, we don't make money, we are not in business. I'm not here to talk to you then. But there has to be some deeper purpose behind all that, right? Why are we here? This, when I was your age and when I was in IIT Madras, these were thoughts, in the hostels we'll have debates about all this. And maybe debates about whether it's economics or politics or philosophy or whatever, right? All these topics. And out of all that, eventually a life path came for me. I became a businessman. I actually was, my original goal was to be a professor. Maybe in a parallel universe, I'd be teaching here as a professor. That's what, you don't get a PhD if you don't intend to become a professor, right? Typically, a PhD is meant for that. If you ask me in 1989, when I finished my BTech, would you ever become a businessman? I would say, no way, no chance. And business was not in my DNA, as they say. I wasn't even thinking about it. I wasn't paying any attention to technology industry, any of it. And then I went to Princeton with the idea of getting a PhD, and I got a PhD. And along the way, I realized I don't want to be doing that work anymore, academic work at that time. And then I went to private sector, Qualcomm, and that's when I got the thing that is. And at that time, I was thinking throughout, why is all these companies, all these institutions are here in the US. We don't have correspondingly similar things in India. None of the high-tech jobs, none of that was there. I'm talking about 90, 91, all that. And at that time, even companies like Infosys were very tiny, probably 1,000 employees then. Now it's 4 lakh plus employees. So Bangalore would have been, I visited first time in 89. There wasn't any technology industry then. These places will all be small villages, right, in 1989. So what, of course, came later, and this is very much part of what would have been a distant dream in 1989, that any of this would happen in India. And so I'm happy that we became part of it. And how I got rooted in India is, again, this was the need. This was the profound convictions that slowly emerged that the only path to development is through entrepreneurship, that we have to create companies, institutions. This very institution exists because some people in business made money and they are liberally donating funds. Right? That's how this university has come to exist. Actually, you go to leading universities, you go to Princeton. I went to Princeton, right? It was again the same. There was a rich philanthropist who founded it. You go Harvard or Yale, any of these institutions, Stanford, famously. Stanford came from a railway fortune. A private railroad fortune created Stanford in the end, funded it. So all of these come out of entrepreneurship. And so that is the way that you build not just companies, but institutions. But what is the purpose? Then why do we do all this? And we use the word nation building, right? The phrase nation building. What does it mean to build a nation? And I'm going to tell you, all of you, the students here, for every one of you, and this is you are part of, I'm going to call India, as you have to think of it as India and Bharat. I'm going to give you some numbers. Please memorize those. You have to keep these in mind. There's approximately 80 to 100 million people who are privileged to be in this university, students like this. There is another 1.3 billion people who are outside looking in. That's how it is now. That's like our country now. As I live in a small village, and Panchayat, about 2,000 population. And I run a school there. 200 students study in my school. None of them will know about this university. None of them are ever likely to come here because their parental income is so low. It's very unlikely for them to even dream of all this. And what do they want at the age of 17? They want a job. They want somehow to support their families. Because you ask many cases, 20% of them, they only have mothers, no fathers, because the father died of alcohol. Sometimes alcohol, suicide, both. Alcoholic suicide. That's something that I have personally witnessed in villages like this. And so this is the landscape of the other India I talked about. But that is where 1.3 billion of our citizens live. And they're also in Bangalore. Of course, from my village, there is at least about 20 young men in construction in Bangalore. And maybe another 20 in Mumbai. Maybe another 10 in Chennai, like that. You will see it from my village. I've seen them. I meet them there. They will come for a temple festival, so I know. The same people that work in construction, I bet there will be some from southern Tamil Nadu, where I'm from. Maybe 1 or 2 from my own village. No. So these are the people I'm serving right now with our school and all that. It's their kids. At least when the man is around and earning and supporting the family, that's one level. Only when the woman has to support 2 kids, it's another level of poverty. There is this layers and layers of poverty in our nation. You go deeper and deeper, you will see the most affected will be the woman who has no education, no job, and 2 kids, husband died. That's the hardest. You can imagine that plight. And I have seen this, I come across them. And so when I say nation building, that's an abstract phrase. For me, it is that woman. It is those kids that I'm thinking about, nation building. These are the people we have to build the nation for. So keep that in mind, because sometimes we get caught up in, yesterday there was somebody who asked me in a similar gathering, in our Zoho gathering there. One of the customers asked, young man, he's in a job. He said, how do I avoid peer pressure? In fact, in IIT, this was very common, right? When you are in a university, when you're a college, the universe is this university. Your universe is this. Your friends are all the university. But there is a much bigger world out there. And your real education is to connect with all of that too. It's not what happens in the classroom. It's not about what is in the exam. It is about connecting with all of that. That's the real education. And only by connecting would you become entrepreneurs, leaders, and be able to actually help these causes, the nation building. So you don't think of yourself as narrowly as students who are going through exams and to secure careers, all that. Also think of the broader picture of why we are here. Like we set up these institutions so that we can help. In Karnataka, for example, there is how many districts are there, how many are rural, how many are poor. Come to know. These numbers, over time, these are not numbers. Like when I see the labor here, construction labor, I know where they come from. I know them personally, right? These are not just some numbers. So that is the level of understanding you have to develop. And when I was a student at IIT, I also noticed, as a very young student in the hostel, I noticed this. This is something you will notice. You look at the mess, the hostel, the cafeteria workers. What language do they speak? What language do we speak? Do we connect with them? I'll tell you, this is actually a learning. In IIT, in 1985, the mess workers used to say, oh, nobody will speak Tamil with us. Only 1 or 2 of you will speak Tamil with us. Everybody only speak English here. Does it resonate for you? I mean, what language do you speak with them? What do the workers speak? Mostly Kannada, right? Maybe some Hindi, I'm assuming. That's probably the mix here, I assume. The workers in the various construction site, all of that. It will be Kannada, maybe Tamil, maybe Telugu, maybe Hindi. 0 of them will speak English, right? 0. Do you connect with them? Because it is them, it is their children, that is the vast majority of our nation today. And so we have to connect. And I was fortunate that because I came from a Tamil medium school, so naturally I could connect with them. In a young age, at 17, it was the hostel workers, all of that I could talk to. I'd spend some time, learn about them, all that. It's the same trait now. I go to my farm workers, the construction workers there, in our village, the drivers, the cooks. Those are the ones I'm connecting with. I learn about them. I just learned simply what's your, like how do I know about alcohol widows? I go to their homes, very humble home, like it will be 150 square feet home. That's called a home, right? And I go there and I ask the lady, so tell me how your husband died. So I listen to her story. So this is what I do in my other life. There's one part of me that runs a company, all of that, software, cloud, SaaS, all that. There's the other part of this, then connecting. Why? Because, I'll tell you, it's a true story. I started the school in the COVID time because I noticed our village farm workers, their children, nobody is going to school and nobody had smartphones or computers or anything to do online education. Remember this whole work from home, online education, only if you have a computer, all that, connection, all that. In these villages, you may have a phone, but it doesn't have broadband connectivity. Definitely you don't have a computer, most likely. And so there is no online education. So these kids were just roaming around in the village, I noticed. And the mothers, fathers, they'll bring them to the farm, the field work sometimes. So I noticed these kids are coming and I said, why don't you come, we'll start something, I'll teach you some mathematics. I'll teach you some Tamil. I'll teach you some English. That's how I started actually, the school. Even I'm working from home, right? As I say, I'm working from the farm and they are coming and that's how it started. Now 200 kids and some 20 teachers, all that, it's grown quite big. It's a startup school. Now next year it'll become 700 students. So we are taking all the surrounding 10, 15 villages, all the students. I pretty much told all the parents, you send all your kids here. We'll take care of them. We have free food, all of that, because they need food. Biggest problem is food. And nobody can pay a fee. Because the mothers, most of the mothers now, right? I said 25% of the students have no fathers. And the mothers earn maybe 300 rupees a day. On a good day, if they are lucky, they earn 300. And the government Manrega scheme, those of you in the humanities, you should know all this. The government runs something called Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act scheme, Manrega it's called. And that provides 280 or 300 rupees now, jobs. And you will see every single day, you will see a cluster of women, some men, mostly women, in street corners, and they will be going for this. That's often the only source of income in these villages. The only source of income. So, with that, they have to support the family with the 300 rupees. That's only for 100 days. I think the government is now trying to pass for maybe 200 days. I'm not sure, I at least read about it. So 100 days they get this income. The rest of the days they have to stitch together something. Migrate to cities, work in construction site, wherever, or be street vendors for flower vendors or fruit vendors. You see them, those are all from these villages. And I hope that after this, you learn about at least one such person. In your neighborhood, wherever it is, maybe in your hometown, you know these people. You should know them. That's the real India. That is the vast majority. Our future destiny is determined by this India because elections, votes, all of that is coming from there. I'm also very familiar with the local political landscape there in the district, how politics is done in these villages, in this. Pretty much most of the votes are bought for cash. Mostly elections are about cash distribution. You pay 1,000, 2,000 rupees and you earn 3,000, 5,000, depending on the pressing need to get elected, and that's how elections are. And why do people get this thing? When you are mainly making 300 rupees on a good day, somebody gives you 2,000 rupees, you will take it, So I don't blame the people who are taking it. The life is like that. I mean, that's the reality on the ground. So if we don't understand the reality, we will not understand our country, and that is, if you talk about social science, understanding all of this is the reality. That's what first you have to understand. Then I'll tell you the economics, because a lot of you, some of you are economics students, I'm assuming. Fundamentally, I posted a tweet this morning. Fundamentally, the economic problem is that we have become consumers. Even in rural areas, people own motorcycles. People own some phones. The sophisticated phone, maybe the 8,000 rupee phone, 10,000 rupee phone. But almost all of them are bought with EMI. You have a lot of finance companies. You go to a small rural town, you go to a mobile shop, they'll take your Aadhaar card and they'll process your payment instantly. They'll process your phone and they'll give you a loan, and you'll have a payment every month or every whatever. And every single person there now, we have sometimes 3 or 4 payments. So you have consumed, but you don't have any actual means to repay because you are not earning anything. So the fundamental economic problem of our rural areas, we are participating in the consumption chain. We are consumers for motorcycle, consumer for phones, even consumer for a small fridge. Sometimes a lot of rural homes now get small fridge. Consumer for gas stove, all of it. but we are not taking part in the production of any of those. That's the key. It's important to understand that. And so we run what in economics will be called a structural deficit. We buy, but we don't have enough to sell. And the way I say it, I go to these farmers' meetings, all that, I say, what do we sell? We sell rice, vegetables, all that. What's the price we get? We are lucky, maybe 20 rupees a kilogram, sometimes 10, sometimes 2 rupees per kilogram if you are not lucky. Tomatoes sold for 100 rupees, and then it will sell for 5 rupees. This is what the farmer encounters, right? 1 month it will sell for, or 2 weeks it will sell for 100 rupees. Then like 2 months later it will sell for 5 rupees. That's the reality of the farmers. I have seen it myself. I plant crops, and luckily I don't rely on the income, because if I relied on the income, I'll be bankrupt. So my worst performance as a businessman is in farming. And that's because farming is so hard, so hard. So hard to make any money. I know this personally. I've been there. I'm doing it. I'm still doing it because we need food. We all eat. But we treat the farmers the worst of the lot because the price fluctuation. 2 rupees to 100 rupees, all that. So we sell for 20, 30 rupees. Then I ask them, so what is the price of the smartphone per kilogram? I'm sure you can do the mathematics. The smartphone is only 300 grams, by the way. Call it 250 grams. So there is 4 phones per kilogram. So we paid 20,000 rupees, 30,000 rupees, that's 1 lakh per kilogram, right? So 1 lakh per kilogram. That's how I say it. So you are selling things for 20 rupees per kilogram. You are buying things for 1 lakh per kilogram. If this economics, we will permanently stay poor here. It's a guarantee of permanent poverty. So somehow we have to compete for the 1 lakh rupee per kilogram jobs. Those jobs are there somewhere. It's just that our kids here don't have access to those jobs. So the poverty is entirely because we only get the 20 rupees per kilogram jobs. We don't get the 1 lakh rupee per kilogram jobs. That's simple. I mean, this is how I explained the economics. Economics is immediately obvious when you think all these terms. And so we are in the commodity economy, as they will call it, but we don't add enough value. The value addition economy we are not part of. That's a sophisticated way of saying the same thing. The value addition we are not part of, but the value addition we consume. Like we want those goods, but we are not able to participate in the production chain of those goods. That's a more sophisticated way of saying the same thing. So this is our economic problem. And if you understand that, you will understand the pressure to migrate. How will you ever have a job? Migrate. Come to Bangalore. Bangalore was 30 lakh people, 25 lakh people when I was a student. Now it's 1.3 crores, I think. I don't know what the current number is. I used to think it crossed 1 crore. Then they said, no, it long ago crossed 1 crore. It has added another 30 lakhs. So, and where is all that coming from? It's not that people in Bangalore are having kids. It's actually the migrants. Migration, more. This is happening in Mumbai. I was in Dharavi. Dharavi is the largest slum in the world where 700 acres. This campus is about 140 acres, right? In 700 acres, we have 10 lakh people. I was there about 2 weeks ago, again, for some part of some social work I'm doing now. So I was there to understand the local conditions, all that. So this is another example. So again, more people are pouring into Dharavi even now. They're coming from various states. Because there is a pressure, there is no job there where they come from that will pay for all the goods that we are already consuming, we have already gotten indebted for. In other words, why do they come? Often the pressure is, I have to repay my debts, I have to come and earn some money. That's how you think about it. But how did you get the debt? Well, I bought a phone, I got a motorcycle, suddenly all the payments are looming, I don't have a job. That's the economics. And this now has profound cultural impact next. Because the village then slowly, because it loses young people, it loses talent, it loses labor, it also slowly loses its traditions. People will come maybe every year for their festivals, then they'll come every 3 years, they'll come every 10 years, then they stop coming. Their children occasionally will visit, their grandchildren don't even know where the village is, where their ancestral village is. In some place, some people I know, their name will have a village name in them, but they don't know where the village is. You've seen this, right? I'm sure some of you know this phenomenon. where the name, last name or whatever first name in Telugu will have the first name, will have a village name, but they actually don't know where the village is. And I have actually bought lands in rural areas where the signatories, some of the signatories don't know where the land is. They own it, but they don't know where the land is. Long ago they vacated, they left, and one of the distant cousins will be selling on behalf of everyone, because everyone wants to get rid of it because nobody wants these things anymore. Those are the kinds of places I'm going now. Where I'm going is where nobody wants to go, basically. It's not cool places, it's not hot places, as they say. It's places where nobody wants to go. Then we buy some land, we try to establish something. Maybe first a farm, then a school, maybe a tech center, all of that. Why am I doing all this? Well, we have to restore some balance to our economy, our society, our culture, all of it. And all of these are interlinked. There is there is a Chanakya. So, Dharmasya Moolam Arthah. And goes on further, but this is the part I like most because I'm a businessman. So, without economics, there is no dharma. If you don't get the artha right, the puruladaram in Tamil, purul, right? In Tirukural, we have aram and purul. Aram is dharma and purul is economics, basically. So, you don't get the purul, the economics right, you don't have dharma. And you visibly see it. All of the culture destruction, all of that goes along with the economic distress, economic suffering. So, these are all linked. So where I am going, I want to restore some balance, create some high-paying jobs, and then their spending creates other jobs. See, when we create a software job in a remote area, like in Tenkasi, we have jobs, about 1,000 software engineers. Average pay might be more than 1 lakh per month now. So you do the sums there. It's like 3 zeros and 5 zeros, so 8 zeros. 10 crores per month is going to the rural economy. So 100 crores per year pumped into one rural district income. And that money then they spend in, build houses, go to the store. All those income get lifted up. There'll be auto drivers who will ferry people around. So you come to Tenkasi, you will see last 5 years the income has doubled because of one company with 1,000 jobs. How many thousands of jobs are in Bangalore? But the money is going to a good place there because we are spending the money there and we improve immediately. The income not for the software engineers alone, the income for everyone else. Even the milk producer will have a better market for the milk. Some people will be willing to pay more for the milk, like what people in Bangalore do, right? So that's one reason why we are going there. The second most important reason, I tell you, as a company, this is important. I talked about peer pressure. The most critical force for young people on you is fear of missing out. There's some hot party going on somewhere and you are missed out on it. Some hot fun going on somewhere that you missed out on it. Fear of missing out is probably the single most enemy of progress because it prevents you from thinking any original thoughts. I assure you. In fact, luckily I figured this out when I was 18. I realized that I'm not missing out on anything. I tell you why. At any given time, there is a billion activities going on everywhere on the planet. By definition, mathematically, you are going to miss out on everything other than the one single thing. You are in this room. This is the only thing you are not missing out on. Everything else going on out there, you are missing out on right now, right? Some movie might be going on, some fun cricket match is going on. I'm sure there's a cricket match going on somewhere. I forgot, I stopped paying attention to cricket some time ago. But I'm just saying, something is going on somewhere you are missing out on right now. And you get stuck with boring lecture from me, right? So why I'm saying it is, you are always going to be missing out on something or other. So if you have a FOMO, the fear of missing out, you will never make progress. It's the same thing with prestige. I figured out very young that prestige is the enemy of any progress. Most of us do things because we want to earn other people's prestige. We buy the phone not because I want the phone. It's to show off to my friends, right? And we wear certain clothes because we have to impress others. I have to dress a particular way, speak a particular way, listen to particular kind of music. I tell you this in IIT. I come from a Tamil medium school. I only knew Tamil songs. I only knew Ilayaraja. And before that, M.S. Viswanathan. A.R. Rahman hadn't yet come yet. No, you can remember this was in 1985. Then I go and most of my classmates are from fancy schools. They will listen to Michael Jackson. They will listen to this or that. I don't know who they are. And one of my students asked me, "You don't know who's Michael Jackson?" I said, "I don't know." I don't know. Actually, honestly, I didn't know. In 1985, I go to IIT. And he said, "How can you not know?" I said, the parts where I come from, I had never heard of this. And later on, I argued with him. I said, "You are sitting in Chennai, you are in IIT Madras campus, and you are thinking that is the cool stuff. Do you think Michael Jackson actually respects you because you are listening to his music? You think you are actually a fool. You have no roots, you have no culture. That you have nothing to listen to, so you are listening to him. And do you think in India we have nothing to listen to at all?" This is an argument I made when I was 18. I picked a fight with my fellow students. I fought in our hostel. We have to play Tamil music. We have to play our songs too. We have to play some Carnatic music. We have to play Tamil movie songs. Because they will only play English songs there. This was one of my early fights. I mean, I didn't know any. It just sounded right to me because I'm sitting in Madras and I'm sitting in Chennai, IIT Madras. We listen to some Tamil songs, Why only listen to English songs from a culture I don't even know? I've never seen. I had never seen yet. So this is, why were they doing it? Why were my fellow students doing it? They thought it was cool. And only the mess workers will listen to Tamil songs, us sophisticated kids should listen to English songs. Right? This was the attitude at that time. And I would point that out to them. You don't want to listen to this because those guys are listening to it. You think you will listen to only the cool songs. These were arguments we had in the IIT hostels. I actually persuaded a lot of my classmates. Some of the classmates came to see this point of view. They realized that, what? Actually, it makes sense. I didn't think through this. In other words, the point is not that they consciously thought this and selected the English song. They just went with what was cool in their heads at that time. I pointed out, it's cool only because, and I told them, no American is respecting you because you know their songs, this all this shit. They don't respect you for that. They respect you because you did some original thought in you. They respect you because you are rooted. Remember that. That's what I told them. At that time, this was actually debates we had. And some people wear veshtis, some people wear jeans. I normalized the veshti in the hostel. In my hostel, back in IIT. So these were all like, in 85, these debates were going on. And music, we would have a music festival. And of course, the jazz would be the popular thing then. Jazz because, well, it's cool, right? Jazz. I don't have anything against jazz music, but we have a lot of musical traditions in our country. So this is what I repeatedly, First of all, we don't know about our own culture, our own country. And this battle goes on and on and on. My niece, she was in this Cambridge curriculum. How many of you are from the Cambridge curriculum? Yeah, raise your hand. Some of you, right? The schools have this IB, right? And I picked this sociology textbook. No, actually, she took a class on comparative religion. And she learnt about Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. I said, is that the comparative religion? This is the comparative religion they'll teach in London, in New York. That's okay. I asked her, do you know the comparative religion between Shankara and Ramanuja and Madhva? Do you know that they had differences in their philosophy between them? Do you know what the differences are between what Shankara taught and what Ramanuja taught and what Madhva taught? Why did Madhva disagree with Shankara? Do you know that? What is the difference between Dvaita and Advaita? She didn't know. I told her, this school, what they're trying to teach you, and I picked up fight with the school. I pick fights, right? I told them, in Chennai, you are teaching this. But the same kid, our traditions, there are so many philosophers that have come. What were the Sikh gurus teaching? What was different about that? These are comparative religion too, In other words, what has happened in our country is the stuff that we know or we eat, the way we dress are all not cool. And the language we speak is not cool. We should not be caught at speaking that. And that's what it became. And if we don't consciously rethink these, I'll tell you why this is important. 1.3 billion. You come to my village, 2000, I told you, population. And Anandan is from the similar village nearby. By the way, he's a major technocrat in the US. He came back to village again. So exactly. And stand up, Anandan, please. He managed a 500 people team in Intel. He's a major silicon architect. And your image of silicon architect you have to revise because after looking at him. He has designed chips that you are using in your computers. So, so the very chips you are using in your computers, he has designed. So you have to revise your mental image of what a chip designer looks like now. And right? You agree with me, right? You have to revise your mental image. What does a chip designer look like? What is he supposed to look like? What is she supposed to look like? Well, they look like him too. So, and these 2,000 people in my village, I leave me out. There's maybe 2 people who will speak English at all. 2 out of 2,000. That's not even 1%. That's going into the 0.1% territory now. And this is true for the entire region. You come to the entire district of Tenkasi, you look at what percentage of the population will speak English. 1% would be a good upper bound, as I say. And you go north, you go to entire states, 0.5%, 0.2% might be a good upper bound. More than 99% of our fellow citizens in all this cannot actually speak this language. And yet, I'm sure these numbers shocked you. But these are the true numbers. You come to the villages, you will see. And yet, actually on Twitter, I've got into arguments where intelligent people often tell me, we have to adopt English language to progress. I promise you, no nation on earth has adopted another nation's language and achieved progress. China went through these debates. In 1905, the big debate in China, 1910, there was this, the Nationalist Party, what is called the Kuomintang, which is the ruling party in Taiwan. The nationalists had a debate within themselves. The debate was, is the Chinese language so backward that they cannot make any progress in science or technology or mathematics by using the Chinese language? This was a major debate in China in 1910. They said our language is so backward, it's so primitive, we cannot use this for technology, all that, and the characters are so complex, so we have to reform. Reform, that's the word they were used. They thought they will adopt English script, all that. All those failed. They didn't achieve this. You know, China has progressed tremendously, major leaps. Everything, you go to Beijing, you will not find on the street anybody who will speak English with you. They don't, they cannot. You go to Japan, the same thing. You go to sophisticated companies in Japan, the brands you rely on, Canon, you go there to the campus, not a single person will speak fluent English. They will have to appoint an external translator to speak with you. If I go for business, typically the company will hire a translator because none of the decision makers, nobody speaks English, so they need a translator to translate. This is Japan. South Korea, we all use Samsung products, hardly any English. China, zero, almost zero English. All these countries actually teach English. They struggle to teach English. But this is the level after all these years. After being rich, after being industrialized, they have not gotten English. And we think all our rural areas are going to become English proficient to actually take part in this economy. So this is another reason why I'm in villages, because I want to create jobs for our Tamil speaking and then slowly Hindi speaking in the north. In fact, in our company, we have a policy. We only test in our own languages. We take them. If they need English, we'll learn on the job. That's one of the policies we have. In other words, speaking fluent English is not a qualification required in Zoho. For a long period, we have had this policy, long-standing policy. And what it has meant is we got so much of talent, the talent would have been overlooked otherwise. The talent would have gone to waste if we had not adopted this policy. So we do this, even in Tenkasi we do this. We actually have people from the north in Tenkasi. How do they communicate? Like you, the students here, right? Some will be Hindi, some will be Bengali, there is Tamil. And at the age of 17, 18, they mix, slowly they pick up each other a little bit. That's how they learn. They don't all, none of them speak English. The Tamil speakers speak Tamil, slowly the Hindi speakers, all that jump in, and they will along the way impart some Hindi knowledge to the Tamil speakers. This I have seen it happen. So these are all important for our country. This is the only way we are going to develop. And our languages are strengths, not weakness. And we have to promote them. I am doing a lot there. In fact, I'm now in the central government, I'm in the language committee now. How to get our language into engineering, computer science, AI, all of this. And so we're starting work on this, and I know for Chanakya University, we will definitely want to cooperate on these. So these are some of the projects. The FOMO I talked about. Prestige I talked about. Prestige. What is prestigious? Is our music, our food, our ways of life all unprestigious? Implicitly, this notion is there. Implicitly, that is, In other words, ideas that you explicitly adopt are not the problem. The ideas you adopted without even thinking about it is the problem. It's there in the air, the very air you breathe, you just simply imbibed it. And I am a kind of person who kind of questions the fundamentals. I often ask, what ideas I adopted without thinking? I never examined those ideas. Why did I adopt them? So you have to think like that. This is what I challenge you to examine the ideas that you are adopting. What are those ideas? And similarly, I want you to experience the life beyond only the university, the students, all of it, the broader life around. In this campus, there are people you can connect with. Make some friends like that. I used to have mess workers as friends when I was a student. They were good friends because, in fact, even for me, it was good because all my fellow students will speak English. These are the only people I can speak Tamil with. In IIT, in 1985. So this is why all of these are important. And all of those are what led to Zoho. In other words, Zoho was not born in isolation purely as a tech company. It's very much thought as what can we do in our context for our nation. Everything in Zoho is like that. You see, all of it is designed around, we are in India, this is our nation, we are going to make a multinational in our image. Toyota is a Japanese company, we use their products. Canon is a Japanese company, we use their products. Samsung is a Korean company. What is an Indian company? What does it mean to be an Indian company? Is it simply a warm door version of an American company? Unfortunately, a lot of people think that way. That we'll just borrow all the idioms, all the management practices, everything from abroad, we'll import them, somehow it will work. They will not work. They do not work. We cannot create great companies by simply borrowing ideas without thinking. At the same time, I'm also very open-minded. I'm always studying cultures, examples, all that. In fact, I was talking about one particular subculture in the US. I'm going to talk about this now. There is a state called Utah in the US, the state of Utah, that's dominated by a particular religion and culture called Mormons. Mormon is a religion, but it's also a culture. And you may have seen this thing, Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That's Mormonism, basically. I'm sure there's one in Bangalore. I'm sure there'll be many in Bangalore. This particular state is the headquarters of that religion, Salt Lake City in Utah. The university, Brigham Young University, is actually a very Mormon institution there. What is special about Mormon? They have a unique theology. And what is interesting is, for example, Mormons do not drink, and they do not smoke, and they do not even have coffee or tea. They prohibit all stimulants, including coffee or tea. And Mormons are extremely successful in business. If you are in the US, you will always come across Mormons as successful business people. And it's a very vibrant culture. In fact, Utah is one of the richest states in the nation. And they hold on to their very strong cultural roots. Even in the US, imagine an American culture, no drinking, no smoking, no coffee, no tea. Can you imagine this? There are 10 million people like this in the US. And very successful business people. That changes your mind, right? It's possible to be like that. And they are there everywhere. It's not just in Utah. You go to Silicon Valley, you will find some Mormon business people. I have had good friends. When I went to Princeton, one of my close friends was Mormon. That's how I came to know about the religion. That there is something called Mormon I only came to know in Princeton. Then I slowly learnt more and more about Mormons. So why I'm saying it is, such things are possible. But why they hold on to is they have the strength of convictions. In other words, you have to have convictions. This is the way I want to be. This is the way I will live. And I'm not going to be pressured into adopting living some other way because of some peer pressure, fear of missing out, all that, prestige, all that. That's all it is for me. And that actually is, who knew? Mormons are very successful in business. It is these convictions that lead to success in business. Zoho is successful because it has held on to these convictions. In a way, it's similar. Actually, I used to joke, in the US, I would say, we are like a Church of Zoho of latter-day software, I would say. It's a Church of Zoho of latter-day software, borrowed from the Mormon idea, I would say. But it's not just a joke. It is. I would say it because we have convictions. Not exactly the same convictions as Mormon. I have coffee. I have tea. It's not like I'm the same convictions. But I'm just saying that some convictions, our own convictions. So you need convictions. And you don't get convictions easily. You don't get conviction you cannot buy in a store. But you have to have internal reflection. Particularly if you are humanities students, if you are in social sciences, philosophy is important. Philosophical roots. Where are the ideas? Where do they come from? What philosophical roots these ideas come from? You want to examine those. And that is how you form your convictions slowly. And you have to have an open mind, challenge yourself. Like when you come across Mormon, what are their belief systems? Why do they believe it? What do I believe? What's the difference? It doesn't mean we immediately adopt everything they say, but we examine those ideas. That's to me what liberal arts means. You examine ideas openly. That's the whole idea of liberal arts, that thinking process. And when I was a student, I was reading a lot of Bertrand Russell. I was an engineering student. I was reading a lot of George Orwell at that time. And these thinkers influenced a lot of my thought. But one thing Bertrand Russell convinced me to do is always be very clear in whatever you are doing. Don't get confused. Confused thinking is the leading cause. He was a leading philosopher. And he was a master of clarity of thought. Many times I disagree with Russell, but at least it's clear what he stands for. It will be clear what I disagree with him on. That's important. So again, you should have the habit of thinking clearly. So you can disagree with me, but if you tell me you have not understood what I said, I have failed. That I have to communicate clearly. Same way you get in the habit of communicating clearly. That helps not just in personal life, it helps in business. Ultimately, I am persuading customers because I communicate clearly. That's all. What we stand for, what our products stand for, what our vision is, all of this you are communicating. And the same thing in politics. You communicate to the voter, you clearly communicate what you stand for. Maybe they choose you or choose somebody else. So these are all the ideas I want to leave you with. Now I'll be open for some questions. Thank you very much. Namaskara.
Thank you so much, sir. I think you have aroused a lot of feelings into us this afternoon. I feel he brought us back to some harsh realities. He made us think. He made us shake the so-called ideals that you have in mind. And most importantly, I think he taught us that being indigenous is the most important part of his success story. I'm so thankful to you, sir. A big round of applause for him.
My question is that you said China, South Korea had reforms and they wanted to develop their country, right? India is a diverse country. It has various languages. Each state has each language, each state has its own culture.
Yeah.
How can India develop like China and South Korea?
Very good. Do you know what the South Korean population is?
Not sure, sir.
Yeah. It's about 30% less than Karnataka. Taiwan's population is the same as Sri Lanka. Taiwan is about 2.2 crore people. That's approximately about 50% or 60% of Kerala. Kerala is bigger than Taiwan. Karnataka is actually quite a bit bigger than South Korea. Tamil Nadu is actually about as populous as Germany. About 8 crore people, same as Germany. And Andhra, but the remaining Andhra Pradesh now, itself is more populous than, say now, France or UK. So you get the idea. This is what always educated people come out with. I'll persuade you to think different. Do you know the population of Finland?
No, sir.
It's about 60 lakhs, give or take. It's definitely not 1 crore. What is the population of Bangalore? 1.3 crore, right? So Finland is, the country of Finland is about half the size of Bangalore. And what do you think, what language do the Finns operate in? Finnish. In fact, Finnish is a very difficult language. It has its own unique things. It doesn't sound like any of the other languages surrounding. Hungarian and Finnish are considered difficult languages. And they do everything in Finnish. With only about 60 lakh people, 70 lakh, some give or take. What is the population of Sweden? Not even 1 crore, not even Bangalore. They do everything in Swedish language. Everything in Swedish language. And in fact, I know this personal example. We have an office in Netherlands. Netherlands is a country with maybe about, I don't know what the population is, I forgot. Definitely not even 2 crores. It's not a Kerala, it's less than Kerala. Maybe it's much smaller than Kerala. The Dutch language, they speak the Dutch language, okay? And here's the rule, we send people from India there to, and their children have gone. the children, they get 1 year for English education. After 1 year, they compulsorily have to go to Dutch medium in Netherlands. This is the law in Netherlands. If you are in Netherlands, if you want to stay in Netherlands, your children have to go to school in Netherlands. Only 1 year you get in English. That's an adjustment period. After that, the children compulsorily go to Dutch medium school. And if you do this in India, what will we scream? Oh, we have all these languages. How many languages does Europe have? By the way, Netherlands is part of the European Union. European Union is like India, union of all those countries, each with its own language. In each country, their language is supreme. All the schools compulsorily teach in their languages. So if I'm going to move to Karnataka, maybe I'll get 1 year, but I have to learn Kannada. I hope all of you learned some Kannada, because your education is not complete unless you learn the local language. That's what I hope. Because see, this is again, us educated Indians persuade ourselves of all this. These numbers will shock you. In fact, I'll give you finally Israel, currently in the news country. Israel's total population is 90 lakhs. Again, about 30-40% less than Bangalore. The entire country of Israel is only 90 lakhs. You may not have known this. They actually use the Hebrew language for everything. Israel is a very big technology country, technologically advanced nation. They use Hebrew for everything. But as of 1930, Hebrew was a dead language. They revived Hebrew because it's a religious, their sacred language. They revived it and they brought it to modernity. They use it for everything in Israel. And in India, we think that will all be impossible. So, in other words, we have to fix our heads. We should have fixed it in 1947. That was our mistake. The fact that I'm speaking English here is our mistake in 1947. By the way, all those countries are much more advanced than us. I did not mention a single poor country in this. Israel, Finland, South Korea, Taiwan, much more advanced than us. And in those countries, nobody will speak fluently in English as we do. So, yeah.
Hello, namaste, sir.
Yeah.
So my question, I have a concern regarding the marketing and the industry which is around us, and I think you are the right person to address because I'm doing BCA. So my question is, I'll suppose that I'm doing BCA in artificial intelligence because artificial intelligence is not in the market nowadays. But tomorrow some new technology comes over and takes over the market. So now, what do you think should I do? Should I move to a new field or should I bring innovation to my field only? That is my question.
Really good question. So there is, technologies keep changing, right? But I tell you, the mathematics, the foundational principles of even AI, the current neural networks, you may not know this, but the mathematics behind this is all like at least 80 years people had figured this out. And when I was in Princeton, 1991, actually they were doing research in what at that time were considered neural networks, which is what is now called machine learning, all that. So these are not very new as you think. So when you learn the foundational ideas, they stand the test of time. Same thing in software. The programming fundamentals of computer science are the same. They won't change because they are mathematics. Mathematics does not change. You discover new ideas, but the old ideas are correct because they are already proved to be correct. So you learn the foundational ideas, you learn the philosophy behind them, then you apply them, you change with the times when some technology, contextual technology changes. For example, the kind of programming we are doing now, I did not learn as a student. In fact, it wasn't even there when I was in my job. All of that has changed, but the foundations have remained the same, and we keep relearning the new things based on the foundations we have already learned. So I'll say.
Good afternoon, sir. Man is a social animal. It means that he wants to be included. Inclusion. So I should not be left out. In that manner, he wants to be dressed like others. If I dress like something else, then social inclusiveness would be gone, and which is very fearful or which is very scary to
for
think
a young
also,
person.
To think also. And I was looking that kind of Sridhar, but then when I saw you coming
I was wearing a veshti there.
Okay.
You want to see the shirt?
And then I was surprised to see you in a lungi or...
This is what I wear all the time now.
Yeah, because eyebrows goes up.
No, you come to my district, 80% of the people are dressed like me. So I'm very socially included there. So that's also India, no? No, but Actually, it's a very good point about dress. I'm going to make a point about dress. Thank you for asking the question. See, we talk about diversity, right? Diversity is valuable. But everybody in jeans and t-shirt is diversity. Everybody only speaking English is diversity. Everybody eating only the one kind of food is diversity. But so, real diversity is actually we have mixed it up and languages, traditions, cultures. So, to promote the diversity, we have to actually think of what is diversity. And why I dress like this, I tell you why. It's the rural person. Actually, you go to the, you know who connects best in Bangalore? I go in a corner shop, that person is very friendly to me. Because I remind them of the people back home where he comes from or she comes from. So those people feel more at home with me. Here, in fact, I notice this all the time. I go to the airport, the people who are cleaning the floors, they'll be very friendly to me. Serious. In fact, this happened actually in Mumbai, it happened, where, not Mumbai, yeah, Delhi airport. I was going to miss the flight because the previous meeting took too long. I rushed, ran, the security gate, a long queue. And the security guard, I told him, he looked at me and he said, some poor rural person, he let me in. No, actually it is true, it happened. No, I'm saying because he also comes from that kind of area, I look like him. For him, I look like average Indian. If I were wearing a full business suit and all that, he would have said, sir, go stand there in the light. So it has some advantages too, sometimes. This is, again, you think about this. These are always both our formal, all of this is our people in rural areas dress like this. You go to a temple festival in my village, everybody will be dressed like this. You go to an average, you come to Tenkasi, you come to Kumbakonam, all these places, most people are dressed like this. So it is not, are we going to challenge all of them to change everything to some other idea of dress? Also, there's another, this reflects heat. I come from very hot places, it's better for air circulation. In other words, clothing is designed for also comfort. I am also of the opinion that all this extensive air conditioning everywhere, energy, in fact, this is a point I didn't make, I want to make this. My personal energy consumption has dropped tremendously after I moved back to a village. Energy as in joules per day, the kilowatt hour units of energy per day. When I estimate that my grandmother in the village consumed 100th to 1000th energy I consumed as in my life in America. In my life in America, I consumed every day 100 times or 1000 times our energy consumption. Global warming, we know this problem. So the global warming, if we have to address it, we have to basically adopt a simpler lifestyle. Not so much energy consumption. And clothing has to be comfortable so that we don't feel hot. I mean, we have to give buildings. Now, another example, we build with concrete now. Concrete actually traps heat. It's well known. People will tell you concrete traps heat. So we have to build to our climatic conditions where we don't trap heat. We actually trap the cold. We have to build for shade. We have to build so that so much heat doesn't affect us. So we are actually testing all those techniques in our village now. Civil engineering techniques where we don't trap heat. These are all available, but clothing, all of this, we have to go with what is comfortable, suited to our conditions. See, we live in a very hot tropical country. But so we should not dress like people dress in Chicago or New York, very cold places.
Sir, be a Roman in a Rome. What do you say for this, sir?
The Roman Empire was actually extraordinarily diverse. So it's not clear what was Roman even then. You go study it. Roman Empire had all the cultures. So it wasn't Roman meant everything. Similarly, Indian means all of our states, all of our languages, all of our foods, all of our cultures, So, which is why in here, I would learn Kannada. In fact, whenever I come here, I try to read the signs slowly. And the way I pick up some Kannada is by reading the signs. The way I pick up Hindi is by reading the signs. I actually can now read Hindi with some difficulty. I wouldn't be able to do it 4 years ago. Simply traveling, all the time reading these signs. If I go to the airport, I'll read the Hindi signs. I'll spend a lot of time slowly, letter by letter I read. Now I have picked up more and more. The same thing I'm trying with Kannada. In fact, he knows, I saw what is the Chanakya, what does it say in Kannada? I translate the Chanakya, but Vishwavidyalaya. So, that's the same in Hindi. The Hindi, the university name and Kannada university name are Sanskrit name basically, right? So I'm curious always. That's how I learn languages. I hope, see, our tradition is all these languages. If you learn the root in Sanskrit, you can actually figure out a lot of Indian languages easily. By the way, in American universities, you may not know this, all the way until 1985, to graduate, Latin or Greek are mandatory. If you were in Harvard in 1965, 1970, 75, Latin or Greek would be mandatory to graduate. I hope that we actually teach Sanskrit or Tamil or one of our languages mandatorily here. Mandatory. So it was mandatory in America to graduate. When I was there, we still had a foreign language requirement in this thing. Foreign language did not mean for them Tamil. It usually meant German or French for them. It was there, actually, when I was there in Princeton.
We live in this era where technology is growing day by day. So how should we bring back our own Bharatiya culture, and how should we balance it with economy and with this growing technology?
So what Mahatma Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world, right? So the first person we change is ourselves. And that's where you have to have the strength of conviction to do the change. In other words, don't do it because I told you to change. Do it because you thought through this and you are doing it. That's all. Nobody can coerce somebody else into changing. When that peer pressure happens, you achieve unhappiness slowly. So you do it within your own self. Why are you changing? What do you want to change? All of that. That's what you do. And for myself, as I said, I analyze a lot of these. I talk about the energy consumption. I wanted to learn from my grandmother because her energy consumption is 1/100th of my energy consumption. I realized if I consume the energy where I do, Earth is going to be fried. Fried, that's the right word, right? So we have to figure out new ways of thought. I actually believe in our land, in our systems, we have a lot of thought patterns, ideas that we can give a modern life, open to ideas, simple living and high thinking. Those are the ideals. And in Tamil I say, in fact, when we go to villages I say, there is two words in Tamil. Elimai is simplicity, Varumai is poverty. I say, let's not confuse poverty with simplicity. We can be very simple without being trapped in poverty. That's what I say. So we have to embrace simplicity without actually being mired in poverty. That's how I say. Prosperity has to have a new meaning. Only our nation can give a new meaning to prosperity. Because the prosperity that we have experienced, the Western ideal, is leading to global warming, climate change. It's putting the future of humanity at risk right now. By the way, there are no solutions. Nobody has found any magic bullet for this. The emissions are going on. They are building new coal-fired power stations. We are emitting more and more. We have not found a solution. I believe ultimately those solutions have to be grounded in spirituality and economics together. We have to have a spiritual grounding of what is Indian spirituality, what is rooted spirituality. Two words, that is humility and contentment. The humility, simplicity comes from humility, simplicity comes from contentment. That's all I try to practice, that's all. I try to practice contentment. Enough, this is enough. Enough food, enough car, enough all this. And this if you have, and I fortunately I had this from childhood. I never got, even as a kid, we didn't have much money, but even when I went to IIT, when I got a job, I was very averse to wasting money, throwing money away. So I was never the first person to buy anything. So all the friends buy it after that, sometime if I'm interested, I'll buy it. So I'll be happy with like one pair of shoes and a few shirts, all that. Those were ideas that it came from my grandmother, so I'm going to say. She lived a very simple life. She passed that ideas to me. So, thank you.
Good afternoon, sir. I'm Gargi. I work as a research assistant at Center for Indian Knowledge Systems of Chanakya University. So my question is that since I'm from academic background, I have to read a lot of research papers and etc. And I have to understand theories in English. Despite me coming from an English medium background and being fluent in English, when it comes to hardcore academia and understanding concepts and such, jargon and other complexities, I just feel lost. Like I have to read it in English, understand it in Konkani, and again translate it in English and write back. So it becomes very emotionally and mentally draining. So as a researcher, how do you suggest I should figure my way out?
No, what is the question? I missed what did you ask?
How as a researcher should I figure my way out? Like since I read all of my work in English, theories and jargon.
Which is true for a lot of us now, right? It's because that's the state of our country today, that any sophisticated thinking has to be done in English. That's where we have got to. Part of the mission of this university has to be revive the thinking, the writing, all that in our languages. It has to be part of the mission here, which we consciously have to adopt, because not just for ourselves, it is for our fellow citizens. I told you, the 99% who cannot do this. In other words, do we want to do the thinking only for the 1%, 2% who can do the English? Or do we want to do the thinking for 98, 99%? When I am in Tamil Nadu, when I speak to any audience, I first ask, do you understand Tamil? I only speak in Tamil there. So I translate all these ideas that I talked about, I say it in Tamil. And it goes down well. I would say, please make the effort, because you are making the effort not just for yourself. It's part of our nation building. So, thank you.
Thank you so much, audience, for being so interactive. I'm very happy to share with you, sir, our tagline of Chanakya University says, rooted in ideas and ascending with ideas. We have stayed rooted to all the Indian knowledge system, and I'm so thankful that you brought this out, and we are very proud that we are actually living that vision. Thank you so much. I request our Honorable Pro-Chancellor and Chancellor to do the honors, and please accept a token of appreciation. I'm happy to share one of our colleagues has brought out the first official Indian knowledge system book, which is widely used. I request our Honorable Vice Chancellor to please give the concluding remarks.
I think it's a very different kind of experience for all of us, both to see Mr. Sridhar and listen to him. Many of you, I think when you saw him, it was a disappointment for you, because you did not see the founder and CEO of a big company. He did not speak like a technocrat. I think he brought economics, sociology, anthropology, religion, culture, everything in what he said. But there was one very important underlying issue that I think is very important for all of us as a takeaway. That he said, you be grounded. You understand where you are from, what it is for you to be like, which I think is a very significant lesson for us. If you go on one-on-one with somebody like him and ask questions on anything on technology, I'm sure you are going to get it, because you cannot take away the fact that you have studied in IIT and he was in Princeton, he founded a company. So it's extremely important, I think, for all of us to really interact with people of Sridhar's kind, who think differently, do things differently, but at the same time realize that how important it is for all of us to remain grounded into the realities of where we live. This, I think, is a very, very important message. I hope you will pick it up. And then that line that he said, that entrepreneurship is very important, that you all have to become entrepreneurs, but then there is a larger purpose to that of nation building. And he defined nation building in his own way of what you can give back to the place from where you come. So this, I think, is a very important thing. I'm sure all of you have enjoyed this. We look forward to seeing Mr. Sridhar more here. It's not very easy, of course. It's very, very difficult to catch him. But we still, I think, hope that our Pro-Chancellor will be able to get him some time again for, I think, more of a dialogue with our groups. We keep doing this, hoping that all of you will benefit from this. And not only this, maybe whenever there is a possibility of getting such people, you will have chance to interact with them. That's the only message from my side. I would also thank Mr. Sridhar for accepting our invitation to come here and address all of you. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you very much, sir. A big standing ovation for the guests. Thank you so much for being here with us.